rising sophomore at Trinity College, and I first want to thank DETV for graciously hosting United Way today. I'm an intern at United Way, and I'm joined by my fellow interns to discuss some recent Supreme Court rulings. So who would like to introduce themselves first?
Hi, I'm Tyrone. I'm a rising freshman at University of Delaware.
Hi, I'm Maya Joy Reeves. I'm a rising sophomore at UMES.
Hello, I'm Anaya Patterson, and I'm a rising junior at Delaware State University.
Hey guys, my name is Nasir Jumpins. I am a rising sophomore at the South Carolina State University.
And so before we get into today's discussion, I would just first want to say that we will respect all opinions and perspectives because this will be a respectful discussion. All right, so the first Supreme Court ruling we want to discuss is 303 Creative versus Elenis, and this ruling on June 30th, 2023. This ruling by the Supreme Court went against Colorado anti-discrimination laws. Essentially a hypothetical case was brought up where hypothetical case was brought up where if a gay couple wanted to approach 303 Creative for a wedding website, could they do this? And 303 Creative stated that they would not respect anti-discrimination laws on their website, but chose to refer gay couples to other website creators. So Maya, what do you think about this ruling?
I would like to say I don't agree with it because where does it stop here? Do we start with businesses can reject people just because of their sexuality, or can jobs also fight this and not allow people to apply for their jobs because of their sexuality too? And it wasn't that long ago that segregation happened where black people couldn't even go into businesses. So is it just going back to that time where we're gonna just tell anybody that they can't come in because maybe they have blue hair or because they like this or they like that?
And that's a great point. We can't, with this ruling, it's kind of hinting at going back in the past, at times such as Jim Crow, at times such as, where a lot of people were discriminated, a lot of minorities were discriminated against. Tyrone, how important is it for us to have anti-discrimination laws?
It's very important, not just because discrimination is horrible, but only because when you have discrimination, it opens up a door for many different types of discrimination, and without laws, nobody wants to feel discriminated against, and we do not need a World War III. So, yeah, that's why we should have it.
And this case obviously comes off the 2018 ruling with Masterpiece Cake Shop, where the Supreme Court ruled in favor of Masterpiece Cake Shop, in that they did not have to create a wedding cake for a gay couple. While the Supreme Court did not rule such sweeping changes against anti-discrimination laws, now they have in 2023, just 5 years later. Where's the line? Where is the clarity? Where's the clarity in this? A few of the dissenting justices, such as Sotomayor, kind of hinted at there's no clarity and no more in anti-discrimination laws, and we're kind of on a slippery slope going downhill. So, do you think we're going backwards with rulings like this, Nasir?
Yes, I do. And the reason why I say that is because Maya talked about it earlier, where we are now going back to being discriminated. First it was whites could not eat with blacks. Now it's gay couples cannot eat in the same restaurant as people that are, straight. And it's now like, okay, if you do that, that's going to not only, you're going to lose money on your business side because now you're rejecting these people, which is going to go back to now we're going to boycott restaurants. We're going to boycott, applying for these jobs because it's not right for me to walk up to a door or somebody that's getting walk up to a door and say, you are not allowed to eat here. That makes someone feel, unwanted. Like, I can't eat here. That, like, I've been going here for 10, 15 years. I've been serving y'all, and you tell me I can't eat here? So, like, that's something that you need to do. That's a wake-up call for people, for real, for real.
Great point.
I just wanted to say too, when I think about it, it's a little frustrating because us as America, we're supposed to be this all men are created equal type of society, but then we bring these type of rulings in and it's just like, since when were we equal? It's not really giving equal when you're telling someone they can't marry someone who they love, regardless of if they're the same sex or not, transgender, whatever it may be. This is not the country that we're supposed to be. These are not the things that our country is supposed to be standing on. We're supposed to be created equal. We're supposed to be treated equally, and it's not being shown that way if we're doing things like that.
We literally say liberty and justice for all, but justice for who?
Who's the justice
Nobody.
for?
Not giving that.
And
Supposed to be equal.
I definitely agree. We're definitely backsliding.
Yeah.
You know, these laws are put in place in order to show that we're a progressing country. You know, you know the legacy that we come from. And so the Supreme Court going against these laws, it's a bit frightening. And it, you know, sort of questions, you know, who is on the Supreme Court, you know, what changes can we make, in my opinion at least. And so I'll go into the next topic a bit. The next ruling where the Supreme Court on June 29, 2023, the Supreme Court ruled against affirmative action in college campuses in the Harvard the Students for Fair Admissions group versus Harvard and UNC, or University of North Carolina. And so I think first to understand the impact of this case, we need to understand what affirmative action is and how it benefited people. So affirmative action in college campuses was essentially race-based admission programs meant to consider race in college admissions. And this is an important factor because historically, minority students such as Black and brown students did not have access to such colleges, Ivy League colleges, even their local colleges. So using affirmative action brought diversity to these campuses, brought different perspectives to these campuses, and without it, it's kind of scary. And so, Nasir, you know, what is kind of the further impact of this?
Now, not to sound like I agree with this because I totally disagree with it, but as I was doing research, you know, I gotta step up my research now, that I found a school in North Carolina, UNC. I don't know if y'all familiar with the school, but it pushed them to make their tuition free for the class of 2024. People that makes under 38,000 their family income, they will be given free tuition. And it's based off of this act that was just passed by the Supreme Court. And now it's like showing that now you're making colleges, you know, really make kids go to school for free now. And it's not only with them, but it's now affecting, it's many negative causes to this as well, because now you have people that's like, am I getting basically accepted in because of the color of my skin, or am I getting accepted because I meet the criteria of going to this school? So now we're looking at it like, what's the next step from here? Am I going to this school because I'm Black, or am I going to this school because I meet the criteria? So yeah, that's basically, so you all should do your research on that North Carolina case. Yeah. Most
And
definitely.
while some good did come out of this recent ruling, you know, unfortunately, like I said, excuse me, what's it called? What's the word? What's the word? Admissions?
Admissions.
No, not admissions. Someone help me! Affirmative action, thank you, affirmative action, thank you.
I was so confused.
Thank you. Okay, affirmative action is used to diversify campuses.
Yes.
And you know, without it, we will see I think we will see a decrease in minority students attending certain colleges and universities.
I feel like we'll be more,
I agree, because
stick to our HBCUs and
not just that though, but like, because when I was doing my research on it, I realized like when affirmative action came out, different colleges and universities set aside a certain amount of like acceptances for Black and brown people. Now that race is taken out of that factor, that's no longer there. You get what I'm saying? So it makes it hard, because it's like, now how are these Black and brown students supposed to go to these Ivy League schools or these better colleges and universities when, you get what I'm saying, they're competing with tens and thousands of other white students. You know, it's hard to be able to say, we're gonna have this amount selected for you because you're black and brown, because the history of being oppressed and things of that sort. Like, do you guys pick up what I'm putting down? Like, it's like, it's kind of going backwards in my opinion. Like, I get what they're trying to say, taking race out of it, but in the same token, it's like, is it really doing any good? Because it's 1,000,001 white people compared to these black students who are applying to your school, and it's just like, you don't know they're black, everyone looks the same on paper. You get what I'm trying to say? It's hard to really navigate that whole process.
It's like when you asked me the question in our first case that we talked about, are we going backwards? We're still going backwards. We're not pushing towards forward because we're supposed to be equal. That's what we want. We want equality, but we're not getting that. You're seeing we're taking step backwards instead of step forwards. Like the people in the past, Martin Luther King, all of them, they paved the way for us to be equal. But it's like now we're skipping past that and we're just going backward to coming.
But they got the right generation for that.
Yeah.
They sure
That's
did.
us. That's
what
the generation.
Yeah, they got the right
We gotta have other
generation.
people, you know.
What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that?
Like, we're not, like, no shade to
We're not going for
We're
that.
not going for that.
my babies in the past. No shade to y'all, but we're not going for half the stuff they went for.
Yeah.
No. We know what we want, and that's one thing I will say about our generation. We're gonna get what we want, no matter.
Yeah, we're gonna fight for
For
it.
it, exactly.
I'm glad we're on the same page.
We're gonna fight for it.
Literally.
So
Yes.
We've seen it.
they got the right one.
I'll jump into our next question. You know, now you attend the HBCU. So, what do you think about this? Like, how do you think it will impact your experience?
So it's a little weird for me. So, like I said, I've been doing a lot of research on this. And in hindsight, I guess it could be good for HBCUs because it will increase admissions at HBCUs because more people who are not black and brown will be prone to applying to different HBCUs and that sort of thing. But in the same token, it's kind of makes me feel a little bit uncomfortable because like that's the whole point of HBCUs. HBCUs were created because black and brown people were consistently being outcasted out of like collegiate spaces and stuff like that. So it's like the whole reason of an HBCU is a place for black and brown students to come together and learn and create and be educated. So it's like now we're gonna have everyone who's not black and brown come into these spaces, and it's just like being an HBCU, specifically mine, Delaware State University, like we're more of the diverse HBCUs. Like we have a lot of, we just bought Wesley College a few years ago, so we have a lot of white students. We have many like Asian students. We are very diverse HBCU, but still 85, 90% black. You get what I'm trying to say? So it's like when we're being here and we're gonna have like many more black and brown students applying to these HBCUs, it's just like weird because like I said, we're going backwards now. It's like the reason for HBCUs in the first place was to allow spaces for us who look alike to be creative and be educated and learn and grow off one another. And it's like now y'all are kind of just trying to take that away from us because it's not an Ivy League, I guess, you know? So it's a little weird in my opinion.
It does seem a little scary, and there's more that comes out of this, like targeting scholarships, targeting grants and funding for students who want to attend college, such as I believe it was in Missouri, where the state's attorney general sent a letter to all the public schools and said, you know, we're done with scholarships and grants and funding for minority students, and it's really unfortunate. It's really, you know. You know, what I'll say about this is we should get out and vote more. What do y'all think?
I agree.
Definitely.
And not just for the president, that goes for
Everything.
your state government, your local government,
Starts locally.
the school district superintendents, like all of that. I think it was last year or maybe the year before that. It was after I turned 18 though. I don't know what I was voting for. I don't know because I looked up on who I voted for. But I heard it was voting and I'm like, oh, what we voting for? So I looked up, I voted for like, I think it was something in like the district and like the superintendents for like my school district in my area and stuff like that. But I went and I voted and I made sure my voice was heard because it's like, if we're not voting on these things, if we're not voting on who's gonna be in our government, who are Supreme, and I know we can't necessarily vote on the Supreme Court justices, but you get what I'm saying, just making sure our voices are heard, making sure we're being involved in politics and stuff like that, it's very important because if not, things like this are going to continue to happen and we're going to continue to be on the short end of the stick and all of that stuff.
That's what's gonna happen. Sit on the couch eating potatoes.
Just to
chips.
piggyback off of
what I'm
that,
saying.
I want to talk to the people that don't vote.
Oh,
Because y'all,
Tell 'em.
that's y'all the problem. Y'all the problem, not to throw no shade,
not the
but
problem.
they are, because if you don't vote, you're basically allowing that person that's been elected to now take that position. And you may, I don't agree with, you hear them say, I don't agree with this person, but you didn't go vote. So now you giving power to that person to go do whatever they want to do because you didn't let your voice be
I
heard.
think that stems from a distrust in political systems. I remember this one
Amen.
sort of lecture thing that I went to, and the guy presented, essentially argued the case that we lost a lot of faith in our political institutions, our organizations, our community organizations, and et cetera, because we feel like we're not heard.
Yeah.
And I definitely agree. I definitely feel like we need to get out more and do more voting education. We need to make sure our communities are supported. And yeah, and we won't have things like this where they're repealing affirmative action or going against anti-discrimination laws.
And I would say, if you feel as though there's something that, your person that is elected, don't feel ashamed or embarrassed to reach out to that representative. Because they need to hear from you. Go to the town hall meetings. Go to things like that because that's where your voice is being heard, and make sure like they are being addressed. Follow up after that. Tell me, I was one of the people that said this, and I just want to make sure this is being handled not only on the state level but national level as well. Because sometimes they shut us out and they do what they want to do because of the money that's being thrown into there. Okay, but we're not gonna get on that. But yeah, that's.
And even if you're not voting, go out, go help organizations that are helping these minority students.
Yes.
Literally.
Or just vote for Beyonce.
I just want to say, because before I was 18, I knew half the politicians in Delaware, half the politicians in Wilmington. I made sure I was involved. I made sure I was, impacting my community. So just go out and make sure, you're making a difference, even if it's not voting.
Make a difference, y'all.
Make a difference. That's
I
right.
want to thank DETV again for hosting United Way at Delaware, and I want to thank y'all for having this discussion.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thanks.